That's Whiskers TV. No Paul or Aaron this week, I'm afraid. They are away with work, so Andy Haywood joins us once again. Good to have you, mate.
Good evening. You stuck with me.
Yeah.
Again.
Well, people seemed to like you last time, so we thought we'd better get you back. We'll be looking at the playoff race. We've got an interview with Aaron Murphy, and we'll also be looking ahead to Panthers game this weekend. But first, as I'm sure you won't be surprised, we will be talking about incidents this week in Panthers games. So Panthers take on Coventry Blaze at the Sky Dome on Sunday night. A 4-3 victory for Coventry. Talk about the game a little bit first. It wasn't as bad as it was a very good performance from Panthers, all said. I thought we might get quite a beating with the players that we had out, but I thought the players on the ice played exceptionally well, most of them. I thought Unisari, Jonathan Boxhill, sort of more of the fringe players had brilliant games, and they kept a full-strength Coventry Blaze at bay for quite a long time. And I think 4-3, it was very, very even. I will say for Coventry, Kelsey Wilson had an outstanding game for them.
He's pretty good, isn't he?
He's not bad at all. You know, I'd have loved it if we'd have had him last season. You know, but no. Overall, I suppose a fair reflection, because Coventry were the better side in the third period. They also got 7 minutes of power play.
Did they?
They did at the end. Brent Henley, again, for the second week running, we're talking about a major incident involving Brent Henley. Cross-checking Kyle Tanaka well after the whistle. Seems he came off the bench to do it as well. I was watching the webcast. Excellent webcasters, by the way. Tanaka's sort of skating towards centre ice. Brent Henley comes off the bench, skates towards him, cross-checks him in the back. Instant match penalty. Your thoughts?
It's dumb. It's selfish, it's dumb, and it appears to be some sort of grudge with Tanaka over a slash before a face-off in Nottingham, because the first thing I've seen of Kyle Tanaka doing anything that would warrant any sort of annoyance was a face-off in Nottingham a couple of weeks ago. He slashes Henley because Henley's jostling for position on a face-off. Henley turns around and spears him in the knee, right in the side of the knee. He gets chucked out of that game. And then obviously the next game we play against the Blaze, he comes off the bench and cross-checks Tanaka in the back. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And of course, in between that was the incident in Braehead last week. Probably made worse by the fact that we just talked about at length in last week's show, so we'll not go into it too much. But the article in the Nottingham Post, where he was claiming to be victimised, and then does two stupid, selfish actions, as far as I'm concerned.
Obviously, I wasn't there last week, and obviously I don't want to bring up the whole thing, but he's not been victimised at all. As far as his type of player go, I can understand that in general they are victimised, because they're always going to be looked at with more scrutiny because of the type of players they are. However, it's things like this which has given him that reputation. Cut this out of your game and you won't get picked on. Simple as that.
It is. I mean, I was amazed. I was quite frankly amazed that he would do something so ridiculously stupid. And for me, it's not only what he did, and it leaves us short now for 3 games, as the suspension has been announced. 3 games. I think he's very, very lucky to get away with just 3. I was expecting somewhere in the region of 6 or 7. However, 3 games, so he misses the cup final and a Dead Rubber League game,
and then the first leg of the Challenge Cup quarter-final. The playoff quarter-final, sorry.
No, so it's Friday, Saturday and Tuesday he misses.
Oh, he misses both legs of the cup final.
Both legs of the cup final,
sorry,
yeah.
Apologies.
So, a 3-game ban. What annoys me is that I think he's shown a complete lack of respect for his coach, for his teammates and for the fans.
Absolutely. It's these type of things that annoy everybody else in the team. But there can't be one person out there that thinks, well, fair enough, he did the right thing, but it was probably the wrong time, or it was, that type of thing. It's stupid. And like you say, it's costing us the 3 games, which turn out to be 3 games against the best team in the league by a country mile.
And leaving us an import short.
Absolutely.
Looking ahead to when his ban finishes, so for the first leg of the playoff quarter-final next Thursday, would you sit him?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
The only argument for keeping him in is obviously because of his big, strong North American style, added to the fact that then it's the playoffs, so things that get more intense, the refs tend to let a little bit more go, that type of thing. But really, what type of punishment is it for him? There's no punishment for. It's almost like saying, well, yeah, it was dumb, and you've cost us this game, you've cost us that game, but it's all right. Have another go. See if you can make it even worse for yourself.
And I suppose that's the thing that's going to be in the back of Corey Nielsen's mind. It's not that I need this guy to police my team. It's like, is he going to do something stupid?
Absolutely.
That gets him thrown out and puts us under the cosh once again.
That's the thing. I mean, he is exactly the type of player that I should love, but the way he does things is too over the top and too outrageous. And when you consider that, we've got other players that can police the team just as well and just as effectively, I don't see why we should have to play in the quarterfinals.
I still don't understand this victimisation thing as well, because it's quite clear that a lot of the things he's done, he's just absolutely brought on himself, and I was quite vitriolic last week towards that article, and I think what's happened in the past 2 weeks is just showing that's just stupid. What he's done is stupid.
The problem with coming out in the press is, obviously, the problem with coming out in the press and saying things like that is you automatically make a rod for your own back. As soon as anything goes wrong, the slightest thing, he could have taken a 2-minute penalty for slashing, but if it was dumb and it was obvious a slash, automatically you've set yourself up for an almighty fall. You've only got to look at some of the things, some of the previous players, when they'll tweet about saying how much they're looking forward to getting a win tonight, and then they go and lose. You just make yourself look foolish. And yes, you use the media and you say things in the media that you do regret, or that don't quite go your way. But to come out on a full length article about how it's all woe is me and everybody's ganging up on me and all that, it's not good. It makes the team look stupid. I mean, the amount of stick that I saw on Twitter for it was unbelievable. And like you say, when he comes out and does things like this, it just makes a joke of it.
I think the thing is, I've never seen a fan base turn, well, not necessarily turn, but be so outspoken against their own player, virtually to a man.
Yeah.
Every single tweet I saw last night was condemning him and just saying what a stupid thing he's done. And I put something on Twitter via the Cats Whiskers account that is the anyone defending him, and virtually no defence, hardly any defence. I think I've seen a couple of slight defences for him today, and that's it. And I'm like, how can you defend
That's
him?
the thing. Realistically, what is there to defend?
Yeah.
Like I say, he should be my type of player. I mean, he's big, he's strong, he's physical, he fights. He's everything that I want in a hockey player. But I'm not defending that. He's dumb as hell.
Do you think he should be sacked?
Ultimately, I suppose it's too late. If you drop him for the quarterfinals and we don't make it, effectively he has been. I don't know. I think realistically, a lot of it will depend on who's fit and who's not injured. If we've got 10 imports or 9 probably at a push that are fit, I wouldn't be over fussed if he was gone.
I suppose the thing is, you've got to look that if everybody was fit, then it's likely that Jonas Sarri would be left out. Now, well, Brent Henley, could be considered far more important to the team positionally wise and player wise than Unistari, why should Unistari have to miss out because of Brent Henley's stupidity?
And not just Sari, but why should someone like Tom Norton, who's been incredible this year in terms of what people expected from him, he's been absolutely superb. Why should he sit on the bench for 58 minutes of the game when someone's doing things like that? And he deserves the ice time.
Absolutely, and Norton had a regular shift last night and played very well. Very composed, did the simple things well, which is all you want him to do.
Absolutely.
Play the systems, which he does brilliantly. I think the thing for me is disappointment more than anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm absolutely, totally disappointed and angry because the article was poorly timed and didn't help.
But
and for that to happen,
it's purely timed. It's poorly timed because of his ill discipline. If he writes that article and nothing happens for the last 3 weeks, no problems. But he's had 3 game or match suspensions since the article's come out.
It just
crazy.
doesn't make sense, and puts us in a hell of a position considering we're coming up to the most important part of the season for us with our only chance of silverware on the line. And while if we don't win anything, I don't think the blame can squarely be put on Henley.
No, not at all.
Because it's a big team game. However, it's certainly a factor, and it certainly hasn't helped.
No, that's it. I mean, ultimately, there's going to be things that go on in the games that will factor why we have or haven't won them. But like you say, not having a player of his experience, and to be fair, his ability at times is going to be a detriment to the team. But having said that, if he's not there, there's no chance of anything dumb happening.
So 3 games. I personally think he's very lucky.
It's one of the things. Obviously, it's his 3rd stick-related misconduct penalty, I think.
I believe so, yeah.
So in a way, yes, I kind of agree with you that he is lucky. Having said that, realistically, it was a cross-check. It wasn't sort of... Was it intent to injure?
It was certainly intentional.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't quite in 2 minds as to whether he was doing it or not. But I personally, I wouldn't have been surprised to see 4. I think that was sort of my benchmark.
I must admit, after what happened last week with nothing happening, I expected 6 or 7, to be honest. So I think he's got away with one there.
To be fair, after what he got suspended for against Sheffield earlier on in the year, with the 2 games for the excessive roughness on Spencer, then obviously getting no games for the same incident practically with Chris Frank the other week. Again, it's consistency in the league, which is another matter.
Okay, well, we will see how it affects us this coming week. Okay, our next item is I got the chance to interview Premier Sports presenter Aaron Murphy. We did put it on over the weekend, but in case you missed it, here it is again.
Welcome to Cats Whiskers TV here on the Premier Sports Stat. Aaron Murphy.
Thanks for having me, Jono, and we got warm-ups on behind us, so if we don't get hit by a puck, we'll be okay.
Okay. Just want to talk to you a bit about your career so far and the Premier Sports coverage for our viewers on Cats Whiskers TV. So, for those who don't know you, just give us a brief career overview.
Well, you know what? I worked for ESPN, covered 3 or 4 Stanley Cups, All-Star games, stuff like that. Did a lot of writing, interviewing. I've done play-by-play for Team GB at the final Olympic qualifiers for ESPN, and then World Championships in Budapest for Premier Sports, doing the Elite League, and have done work for various clubs like the Giants and the Blaze on webcasts. So, I've done the Olympics. I've done a Summer Olympics in Atlanta way back in the day, and was in Sochi, and so here we are But highlight today being here at the NIC with you.
Okay. If you're wondering why we're laughing, of course, it's because Mike, the producer, is.
We're going to turn Mike, the producer, down there right now because he was just saying some naughty things in my ear. So that's the career in a nutshell. And our producer, Mike Roper, the funniest man in show business.
Of course, you've just come back from Sochi for the 2014 Winter Olympics. How was that as an experience?
It was absolutely the greatest learning experience I've had in my career. It was like university and any course you could do rolled into one. I was really lucky. I got to be a commentator on both the men's and women's gold medal games for the world feed. It was a dream come true. I still sometimes I think back to that day and go, I can't believe I got to do it. So it was wonderful.
Okay. Looking at the coverage that Premier Sports have been doing this season, and generally it's been received very, very well. How's it been for you?
Yeah, I've loved it. I've loved every building. I've loved every chat, every meeting fans, meeting elite league people, behind the scenes, team staff, game night operations. Wherever we've gone, we've been very well welcomed and received. And I've loved places like Fife. That building has so much character. And then you come here to the NIC where the playoff final weekend is, and it's like an American Hockey League rink or whatever. It's wonderful. So there's quite a juxtaposition. And I've enjoyed each and every game for different reasons, and enjoyed all the players and the teams and team staff. It's been great.
And of course, there's been some absolutely outstanding games that have been broadcast. You've been quite lucky, really.
We've been very lucky. We've had some overtime games. We've had some over the Christmas period. We had some wonderful games here, and we've gotten lucky, but that luck was working with the league as well and picking fixtures that they thought would be good and that we thought would be good. And we've been lucky, but you got to be good to be lucky. So a little bit of both, a little bit of legwork, but also really good fixtures.
One of the innovations that Premier did bring in right from the very start was using local reporters for every single game. It could have been a risk with people who are probably not used to broadcasting, but it's worked out quite well.
I think so. Look, when I accepted the job, I said I don't want this to be the same way it's always been. I want to bring in. I don't want us to come into town and say everyone who does the work can leave now. We're here. I want to come into town. I want to work with the people who know the teams. I want to work with staff and bloggers and reporters that know the teams and maybe know some insights that I don't know, that we as a broadcaster, Premier, don't know. And it's been great, like yourself, Scott Ancliffe, Paul Wheeler, the list goes on. And I think I was given a chance many moons ago to do stuff on live broadcasts, and that's taken me throughout my career because someone gave me a chance. I'm not saying I'm giving people a chance or we're giving people a chance, but I wanted to work with different people in different places, and I think it might have been a risk. A lot of people told me it was a risk. A lot of people told me that you shouldn't go down that route, and said to Premier, this. But other people, 99% of people, said that's a great idea. We welcome it, and I think it's paid off.
Looking ahead to next season, do we know if the coverage will continue into next season?
Whoa, putting me on the spot. Look,
Cats Whiskers exclusive here.
we certainly want to do it. I hope the league wants to do it, but that's above me. And let's just say I think it's been a fantastic season. I would love to be back in this seat, and I would imagine the league and and Premier will have those chats, and hopefully we'll get her going again.
Okay. Finally, of course, the World Championships also on Premier. Are you going to be covering those?
Yeah, I can't wait. Going to be calling the five Team GB games, Vilnius, Division 1B World Championships. I'll have Big Benny Olsen next to me, so I'll probably have to wear a bow tie.
Yeah,
and,
after what happened last time, I would.
I'm still here though, right?
Yeah,
pretty resilient.
True.
We've had some fun on Premier Sports as well, and you got to have fun. This is hockey. People are tuning in on a Saturday night or a Sunday afternoon. You got to be entertaining, and I think we found a good mix, and it'll only get better if we get to do it again.
Okay. Well, thanks for your time, Murph. Really appreciate it, and also thanks to the guys at 24/7 for doing the recording for us. Cheers.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
A new feature on the show now, where we're going to look at some questions you sent in via our Ask CWTV hashtag. For regular listeners to the A View from the Bridge podcast, they do a very similar thing with Ask Davey. So the first question that we've received is actually from A View from the Bridge. Will we be getting any royalties from you for this? No, you won't. So I think we'll move on to the first proper question that we've got. That comes from Johnny from Donny, a Sheffield fan, Who do you see as the season's MVP for each of your conference opponents? And same question for your team. Well, we've decided to go with every team in the Elite League, so I'll let you fire away, Andy.
Well, for me, Chris Higgins in Belfast has been the best player in the league. So he is Belfast's.
I think for me, for Belfast, Higgins has been excellent, or the Belfast Datsuk, as I believe they call him. I would have to probably go with Sandrock or Elfring, because they've both been absolutely superb. I think if I had to sway, I'd say probably Calvin Elfring for me.
Cardiff, I've gone with Matthew Myers, purely because I think he's scored something like 40 odd points this year already, but he's a top Brit, and he's a top Brit that Cardiff have been missing. They've had Mark Richardson and they've had Phil Hill for so long, and Ben Davis is coming on leaps and bounds, but I'd like to think that Matthew Myers going back over there would be very good for Cardiff's future.
I would go for Andrew Lord, actually. I think he's actually made that Cardiff team tick, and seemed to be very consistent point scorer throughout the season. Has looked very, very good whenever I've seen him play, so that would be my choice.
It certainly wasn't Brent Pope, though.
No. Only hat wearing, maybe.
No, well, yeah. Coventry, surely it's got to be Ryan Ginan, 51 goals.
Yeah, I mean, that was good. That was my choice as well for Cov. However, there's a lot of talk of him being quite selfish. But I suppose if you're scoring 51 goals, you're going to be on. I think for that sort of production, you can't really give it anybody else.
For Nottingham, if we'd have been fully strength all year, I reckon there'd have been a few contenders. But realistically, Matt Francis hands down, because he's stayed relatively injury-free, and he's practically carried his team on his back for the whole year.
Francis would be high up there for me, but I think I'd have to go for Robert Lakovic, because I think he's been absolutely superb. This has been, although it's not been a great season for the team, I think it's been a breakout year for him. He's been consistently one of the best players on the ice. He makes things happen. He's so strong on the boards, scores points, penalty kill, power play, puts in probably 35-40 minutes of ice time, and I
with Matt Francis.
Yeah. So that's what I say. They'd certainly be the top two, but I think Lakovic for me.
Fair enough. Sheffield have gone Jeff Le Guy. Obviously, he's their leading scorer with 66. And although a lot will be made out and said that it's not the reason, Doug Christensen drops Jeff Le Guy. He gets the sack the next day, or a couple of days later. Jeff Le Guy is Sheffield, and realistically, I personally think from what I've seen, he's been the better player out of all of them.
Sheffield was quite a difficult one for me, because they've sort of been so hit and miss all season, and every single one of their players seems to have been really criticised at some point. I considered Jason Hewitt for a millisecond.
That long?
That long. I probably would have to go for Robert Dow, because I think, from what I've seen of Sheffield, he's still quite a consistent player. I think he's overrated. I think he's vastly overrated by their fans for what he can do. By all means, a very, very good player. Been their most consistent player, scores a lot of points, but I don't think he's as good as they probably make him out to be.
Right.
That's not. I know it sounds like a huge criticism when I'm choosing him as their MVP, but that's just my opinion. I think out of all of them, though, he's definitely been the most consistent player.
Okay, with our conference out of the way now, the Gardner Conference.
Yeah.
Brayard, I've gone with Ed McGrain. 75 points this season. I believe he's a top scorer. But to be fair, it could have been a couple of others. I mean, Champagne and Trim and Ash Goldie is always up there. But I chose McGrain out of the ones because the last game I saw them play, when they were down here, he was the best player on the ice.
I went Ash Goldie, actually, because he was out for a period with an injury, and they just looked a different team when he came back. It seems to be the absolute heartbeat of that side, so that was why I went for him.
Dundee, Rory Rawley. Is he the best defenseman in the league? From what I've seen, yes,
certainly up there.
And I wish him a speedy recovery because he's had an absolute shocker. But I mean, he scored 40 points from the blue line in 40-something games, so he's going at nearly points a game. And he's been a real reason why Dundee have been so good and are second in the league.
I will go for Dan Backer, their netminder. He's won them games this season. I think he's been an absolutely superb pickup, and probably the best netminder in the league this season, I would say.
Yeah. Edinburgh Caps, I've gone for the player coach. He's second in their point scorers list. And he's leading from the front, he's coaching them, he's telling them what to do, and he's getting all the points, I think Curtis Leanweather's about 4 or 5 points ahead of him, but Hartman for me is the leader in that team.
I've gone Leanweather, actually.
There you go.
Not only for his points production, but he seems to be the one who consistently scores. And he scored a few hat tricks. He scored a fantastic hat trick in their victory over us at Murrayfield this season. For me, they're easily their most consistent player.
Fife, I've gone for Jordan Fulton, who is their top point scorer, but he's also so much more than that. Every time I've seen them play Panthers, he's been a real agitating little man that annoys the hell out of people, and that is my type of player. I mean, what more can you want from a guy who's going to wind people up and score points for fun?
And also got sucker punched by our mate Brent Henley. We'll not go on any more about it. I would actually agree with you for all those exact reasons. He's just a point scoring agitator that every sort of team wants.
And finally, Hull. Usually you think of Hull the past sort of 3 or 4 years, it's hands down Jeremy Tendler, but Guillaume Doucette has been an absolute steal for Hull this year. He's been stunning. He's got 81 points and 48 of them have been goals. He's ahead of Tendler in both categories, I think, although Tendler is extremely close on the goals, I believe. But what a player he is. What an absolute player. Brilliant.
I've gone for Ben Bounds, actually. Bounds, again, another netminder who's proved himself this season, I think, has won all games with some absolutely stellar performances and has just grown and grown to be a legitimate number one starting netminder in the Elite League. And I think, no disrespect to Hull, but I think he now is ready for the step up to a bigger team and to prove what he can do. I mean, he's only, I think, 22, 23, and from a Great Britain point of view, I think he needs to be on that higher level.
Could we see him go abroad, like Murphy?
Possible. I mean, possible. Could hone his skills. Okay, well, thanks for that, Johnny. We'll move on. Joey McCora, or Joseph Beerstoke, to give him his real name. Have the EIHL got tougher on discipline? Did Voth, Payet, etc. do similar things to Henley, but go unpunished? I don't think. I mean, Voth was forever getting suspended for
absolutely.
Legal checks as far as
being the bigger man, basically.
Yes.
I personally think that having a sole person in charge of discipline certainly helps to crack down on impose suspensions. But I just think in general hockey around the world is cracking down on dangerous plays, and so you're going to get suspensions for anything that's deemed a dangerous play these days.
For me, I mean, Payet was forever getting suspended for stupid things. I mean, I remember one where he jumped Sean McCaslin because he fired the puck about a millisecond after the whistle blew, and then he went jumped Paul Moran on the bench. So I don't think so. I mean, I think this probably goes back to that Henley victimised thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with Joey being a Steelers fan, I doubt he'd be sticking up for Henley. So
he is. He won't be like in Voth and Payet, though.
But I think everything Henley's got has been totally fair, as we've said, and I think Voth and Payet used to get punished. Voth, I think, harshly at times. Payet, not so much. Block 15 Blaze, or Craig Summerton, he's a Coventry fan. Has Weaver got another EIHL year still in him?
Yes.
Yeah,
For
I
me,
think so too.
he's got as many as he wants. The
Yeah.
guy is a legend in this sport. And you look at how far Tony Han played. I appreciate, obviously, he's now gone down to the EPL for a few years, and I believe he's won the league again down there this week. But what he lacks in speed now, he's still got upstairs.
It's all yeah.
It's one of them things. If he was an import, no, but he's not. He's a British player, and he could play for another 5 years if he wanted to.
I think the thing with Weaver, and it's a stat that everybody sort of sits up and goes, really? He's been never present for the Panthers so far this season. He's not missed a game.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a season where Jonathan Weaver's not missed a game?
Having said that, I do remember a stat from last year where every year Jonathan Weaver broke a bone. He won the league.
Yeah.
So realistically, we should sign him next year, break his legs, and see how we go. I'm kidding.
Take one for the team, Johnny. Take one for the team. Okay, final question comes from Sean Grundy, Panthers fan. Can we blame injuries or suspensions on a disappointing season, or did the new imports simply underperform? I think injuries have played a part. Suspensions has been down to the players themselves getting stupid bans, with the exception of probably the Mackler one, which I thought was harsh, but I think every other one has been fair enough. Injuries, yeah, that's definitely played a part, because we've not had any settled lines. Although, to be fair to Corey Nielsen, he's never used that as an excuse in any interview I've heard. Others have, but Corey has been very consistent in not using that as an excuse.
I think with a question like that, it is very much a case of a bit of column A, a bit of column B. Injuries have not helped whatsoever. Suspensions, I completely agree with you. That's no one's fault but the players. So if they're going to put us under, if they're going to put us under that added pressure of being an import down or a man down or whatever, that's their own fault. It's not good to see. But injuries certainly haven't helped. I do also think that some of the signings not necessarily weren't the best or were ill-judged or anything like that, but some of them just genuinely didn't work out for whatever reason. I mean, to be fair, you've only got to look at the whole Joe Jensen debacle.
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously things underlying there that no one really knows. It just didn't work out for him over here. It's not like he was a terrible resume or anything like that. He just didn't want to be here ultimately. And then you've got other players that came with incredible resumes and just didn't quite live up to it for whatever reason. Ultimately, injuries, yes, we can blame them for an underperforming season, but having said that, suspensions, no, not at all. That's their own fault, and some of the players haven't quite lived up to what everyone was expecting.
Yeah, I think some of the imports have had disappointing seasons, I think it has to be said. And I think it also didn't help with having the season that we had last year. And then there's automatically comparisons going to be made, and they've just not lived up to that.
Absolutely.
But, as we always say, there's always next season.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a while since we've seen that.
Thanks for sending your questions in. We will probably do this again next week. We're going to have a look at the close playoff race coming into this weekend and look back at some of the results from them at the weekend. Familiar face joins us, Sam Balm, our Hall correspondent, formerly known as the Student. Are you alright, mate?
Yeah, alright.
Good. You have obviously been following the Stingrays all season. You was at the last two home games, which were victories against Sheffield and a victory against Fife. Obviously, 2 away defeats this weekend leaves them on the brink. But how were they in those 2 home games?
They played really, really well. I mean, Balm was outstanding against Sheffield. I think he had like 51 shots he had on him. He stood on his head for the entire game. Against Fife just kind of fell apart, lost the discipline, and Paul just took advantage of that.
Okay. Andy, Hull facing a tough game against Sheffield. Obviously a 5-1 victory at the Hull Arena a couple of weeks ago, but they've lost 1 game under Gerard Adams so far. It's going to be a tough ask for them.
Yeah, I agree it will be tough. I think the fact that they're at the most versatile venue in the UK will certainly help. The fans will get behind them there, and it's usually pretty loud. and like you say, I think they'll also ride the momentum and the fact, and almost the expectation after the 5-1 win against Sheffield last time. So I fancy them to get the win.
I think actually it'd be a travesty if all didn't make it, because I think they've been very, very good all season. Yes, they've had some poor results, but generally very attacking team, entertaining team to watch. Got some really, really good results, and I think it'd be a big, big shame if they don't make the playoffs. Looking at their closest rivals, that's Fife, who I think it'll also be a shame if they don't make the playoffs the way they've been playing recently. Been an absolutely superb form. Another 4-point weekend this weekend with excellent victories against Belfast and another victory against Dundee. So effectively the top two in the league they managed to beat. They've got a home and away series against Braehead this weekend. How do you see that one going?
I think on a normal weekend, like in the middle of the year, I'd see it as a split weekend. I just think with their backs against the wall, the pressure on them, the players that they've got, and the way they've performed under pressure on that streak, I could see another 4-point weekend. I really can.
And of course, if they were to do that, that would comfortably see them into the playoffs on 53 points. So, then you have to look at who else is missing out. So, probably the longest shot to miss out are the Coventry Blaze. They have an away game against Sheffield on Saturday, and then they play Cardiff in Cardiff's last game on Sunday. So, looking at Saturday first, Motorpoint Arena. You think Sheffield will? Yeah. Sheffield have been pretty formidable at home recently. I'd agree. I can't see anything other than Sheffield win there.
I agree, and I tell you what, if Fife win in Braehead on the Saturday and Sheffield win against Coventry on the Saturday, Sunday is going to be absolutely incredible.
And of course, Sunday, I think a huge game between Coventry and Cardiff at the Sky Dome on Sunday night. I mean, everything could ride on that one.
Yeah, definitely. That could be like whoever loses that could miss out.
Yeah.
So if the results go to Hull and Fife over the weekend, that is winning in. Simple as that.
And you have to say, what a cracking end to the season. The playoff race has come to this, where it looks like it is going to come absolutely down to the last game of the season before we know what the makeup of the playoffs is going to be. I mean, that's incredible.
There's so much jockeying from where they're going to finish. So Belfast, Sheffield and Dundee won't know who they're playing.
I mean, if you have a look at the table, between Dundee in third and Fife in ninth, there's only a 9-point gap. I mean, I can't remember anything being that close. And okay, Belfast are streets out in front. Sheffield have now got a decent gap in second, but the rest, it's just, and I think it's a great indictment of the conference system, because it is brought it so much closer.
I completely agree. Yeah. We saw it last year as well with how close it was, and this year, like you say, apart from the runaway leaders, and to be fair, Sheffield now towards the end of the year have started to pull away. It's been so close. It is great. It's great to see.
Sam, you'll be at the most versatile arena on Sunday.
Yes, I will, yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, should be a good game.
Any prediction?
All win.
All win. Yeah, I think. Well, we'll see. But I'm going to put you both on the spot now. So, who is going to miss out?
Cardiff.
I think Hull might miss out. I don't want them to, but I think they will. Sam?
Cardiff.
Well, we shall see on Sunday night, and we'll obviously talk about it next week. To finish the show tonight, we're going to look ahead to the weekend. Panthers, of course, in Belfast, with the first leg of the Challenge Cup final on Friday, and a pretty meaningless league game on Saturday, I think, as you said. I believe Saturday's live on Premier Sports. Quick prediction.
Well, Saturday I think it'll be Battle of the Backups. Friday I think it will be see who's fit, see who's available, try and get a result to bring it back to Nottingham.
I mean, I suppose Friday is probably the most defining game of our season because the Challenge Cup and the playoffs are our only chances of silverware. The Challenge Cup, we're actually in the final, so as we're looking at it now, this is our best chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think everyone who's available will play, so that'd be 10 imports. What the makeup of those 10 imports is, I don't know, obviously, but I think everyone will be playing in that if they possibly can.
Yeah, I agree. I certainly think with the season that we've had, and it's coming to the back end of things, it's not unheard of, it's not uncommon that players will play through injuries now if there's a chance of silverware, and this is the best chance of silverware that we've got. Obviously, we've also got the history of it as well, in the sense that, you know, we've won it so often, and this is something that the players do hold in quite high regard. Despite the fact that obviously everybody else thinks it's Mickey Mouse Cup.
Unless they win it.
Which is why everybody else thinks
it's a Mickey Mouse Cup.
I do fear for us Friday though. I would like to see us be able to make a game of it in Nottingham, but I just think that Belfast will be too strong for us, and I personally think the result will be sealed in Belfast on Friday.
Belfast, as we've seen this season, they're a fantastic team and will obviously go into the game as heavy favourites. What sort of deficit do you think we can afford? If it's a deficit, I mean, I suppose we're being rather negative. There's still always, in a two-horse race, there's still always a chance that we'll win. I mean, it only takes Craig Kowalski to have a massive game.
Which he does in big games as well, to be fair to him.
But I think one or two goals absolute max deficit to give us any hope in the second leg.
Ultimately, on their day, if they play well, they will beat anybody, Panthers. We beat, I think it was 8-3 we beat Belfast at our place earlier on in the year.
Their last regulation defeat before this weekend.
Why not? Very that's wishful thinking there, John. I think 2 goals is probably maximum for me as well. Obviously, I'd like it to be 2 goals up. I still wouldn't think that was particularly safe going 2 goals up into it, but at least it gives us something to play with.
Well, I think we will leave it there for tonight. Many thanks for stepping in.
Anytime.
For Paul and Aaron, and many thanks as well to Sam Balm for coming and talking to us about the playoffs. We will be back next week. See you then.